When you're in God's kingdom, the motivation is love.
Yeah.
And we recognize the pain that we were in, the challenges we experience as singles, the wanting to have children, the wanting to have a wife, I want to have a family,
Hmm.
and I want to have something to leave here as a legacy. Capture this vision of recognizing that if I can help singles become older singles get married that
Hmm.
wouldn't otherwise,
Hmm.
that is my contribution into expanding God's kingdom because there's babies waiting to be born.
Yeah.
So I like to reach out to singles out there, connect with them, and hear their story and share what we do. It's our form of sowing seeds and getting the word out. And I often get the response, "What's in it for you? What's the catch? Why would you care? Why are you so determined to want to talk with me?
Hmm.
And you're relentless. Like, I'm suspicious. Why would I care?"
Hmm.
Well, I'll tell you this much. If it was just about the money, I would have quit long ago and got a 9 to 5 job.
Hmm.
Well, so it has to go deeper than that, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we live in a world where when you display true passion from the heart, people get suspicious because there's
Hmm.
always so many money hungry coaches and mentors and all that out there. And yeah, I get it. So here's our story, and this is where our passion comes from. I was born and raised Amish and left the Amish around the age of 30 or 31-ish. Yeah,
Hmm.
right over my birthday there. And for the next 10 years was still single. I don't think I had a single legitimate date in those 10 years after having left the Amish.
Hmm.
And so I was a bachelor up to the at least the age of 40. Yeah, for sure. And I got to that point where I was starting to get gray hair. And I was like, well, I don't want to get old alone.
Yeah.
I want somebody to get old, to become old with, And like,
Mm.
Father, what do I do? And I just recognized that what I've been doing hadn't been working. And obviously I missed a turn back there somewhere. And
Hmm.
it's not a matter of waiting on God's timing anymore. Timing's already behind me. And so I made a Facebook post saying, help, if anybody has a prophetic word of encouragement or advice, anything like I want to be married, but I'm not, I'm just kind of at a loss here. And I got lots of beautiful, encouraging comments from many people on Facebook. But then there's this one special guy friend I had who was also a bachelor. And he reached out to me and asked me, "Hey, have you heard about Carlos and Chantel Campos? They're doing a Facebook challenge, a 1 week challenge, evening sessions
Hmm.
called Fast Track to Marriage." And I was like, "Well, sign me up. I'm in. Let's do it." And so he and I both did it together. And lessons were short, sweet, and simple, not complicated. And I did everything. I was just like, I'm in. Let's do this. Because previously to that, I had prayed to the Lord, like, Lord, I will sell everything I own and move to China if that's what I have to do to get married. I
Hmm.
was that willing to do whatever it takes. And usually when you get to that point where you sell out to the Lord, like,
Hmm.
Father, name it, I'll do it. Like whatever it takes, hit me.
Hmm.
That's where you break through, burst forth like a busted dam. And so anyhow, I started following directions, and of course, friendships and relationships sprouted out of the interaction that of some 75 singles in that first round.
Hmm.
And then they did it again the next month, and then the month following. And I did all three of them and dove into the special sessions at the end of it, following directions, communicating and reaching out to everyone, just practicing, growing my confidence in communicating with ladies with no expectation or attachment to the outcome.
Hmm.
And there are a couple there I thought, oh, they're cute and she's pretty, and I'm like, but I don't know. But in the process of following directions, I found Irina there in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't settle for Irina because the others didn't work out. Rather, she rose to the top. And the others weren't as good of a match. Um, I was living in Montana and she was living in Florida. Flew
Mm-hmm.
down to meet you once, and that was our first meetup. And
Mm-hmm.
then the
In
second,
person.
yeah, in person. Second time we met at a retreat about a month later and proposed. 48 hours later, got married. So that's
Mm-hmm.
my side of the story. And let's hear your side of the story.
Yeah, so I grew up in Russia and moved here in 1997 with my whole family. And, diving into this culture was, and then I got pretty versed with culture and language and still feeling like a foreigner. And so I was dating and yet felt like I'm not finding the right person. And when I became a believer, it got even harder. Much different culture than what I was used to coming from Russia and American culture. So the church culture was different. And finally, I've been also asking questions like I feel like I'm totally fine. I have a lot of things going for me. Why am I not getting married? Why is it so hard to find the right person? And COVID hit in 2020, and that's when I just cried out to God and I said, I don't want to spend time like this alone. I love being around people. Now we're isolated. I'm single. I want to be with a spouse. If this ever happens again, I want to be with a spouse. And that's when I got invited to the Fast Track to Marriage Facebook challenge as well. Practicing, following directions, doing what this course was leading us to do. And I practiced not only within the group, I practiced with people locally and those that I knew previously, those that I was interested in to find out who is the match for me. Jesse rose up to the top. Everybody else fall off because it was just not a match. Jesse and I were aligning on so many things. We were practicing virtually. So we'd talk on videos, we'd talk on the phone, mostly videos. And so we got to know each other well, became great friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still not considering you as a husband, but then things start shifting. It was just so obvious that we were aligning on so many things. Well, after we met in person, we felt like we were doing pretty well in person as well. We decided to move forward. And then after that, we got married very quickly. And that's because of that process and how well we were matched and how much easier it was to use the tools to discover your person and knowing that I am doing something that helps me to move forward because God is always doing something and I wanted to be contributing in the right way. So because of that, we decided to join Carlos and Chantal on this journey. And because of our story, because of results that we got, we wanted to help other singles. We love singles because, being in our 40s, getting married, we had a lot of friends that were singles and all great people and worthy of being married, worthy of being chosen by others and have a beautiful marriage. So that was our desire and still is.
Yeah.
And obviously, we love following God's word. And God says, be fruitful and multiply. You can't do that by yourself, obviously, right? And there's so much joy in marriage, so much, I don't know, like fulfilling your mission together with your partner equally yoked. And it's just so beautiful.
And I was just reminded of a message sent to me by
Mm.
a guy that was briefly in our single to married community. And then
Mm-hmm.
he canceled, and I was like, okay. I mean, I hope he got what he was in there for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw his Facebook post the other day that said he was married. And I reached out to him and said, whoa, what happened? He says, well, thanks to you, I I got my belief and courage back to go after it, to get married. And I
Mm-hmm.
found this wonderful lady on this certain dating app. And I was like, wow. So that
Mm-hmm.
that guy was deeply impacted through the influence that we had on him for just
Briefly.
briefly. And
Yeah.
we never really did much, but he pushed
Mm-hmm.
play on our training videos
Mm-hmm.
and something, it was just that missing, he
Shifted.
just needed that missing key,
Yeah.
that little nudge to move forward. And so largely the passion really comes back to our relationship with God, our heart to expand his kingdom. And
Mm-hmm.
that goes into the spiritual sense of the term, to
Yeah.
where the world doesn't understand that. In the
Mm-hmm.
world, it's all about money and hidden motives and agendas. But when you're in God's kingdom, the motivation is love.
Yeah.
And we recognize the pain that we were in, the challenges we experienced as singles, the wanting to have children, the wanting to have a wife, I want to have a family,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to have something to leave here as a legacy in the form of children or in an influence that carries on, takes the baton on beyond what I can after I, graduate from this life into the next.
Mm-hmm.
I captured this vision of recognizing that if I can help singles become older singles get married that
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
that is my contribution into expanding God's kingdom because there's babies waiting to be born
Yeah.
that can't be born until their moms and dads find each other and get
Yeah.
married, right? And so that taps into something that's deeper than just money and motives and agendas and all that
Right.
stuff. So that's really what it comes down to for me personally.
Yeah. So there it is. We love helping singles. We love seeing them align with others, choose their partners well, and fulfill their mission. That
And
is so
absolutely.
beautiful.
And the getting married part, once you have a spouse that you're
Mm-hmm.
deeply aligned with and deeply connected with, everything else you do in life, your business, everything
Yeah.
is going to flourish so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you doubt that, just look at all the businesses that have gone bust and bankrupt because of a divorce.
Yeah.
Well, the opposite is true too.
Yep.
Marriage is as deeply connected that things are gonna flourish. If of
Mm-hmm.
course if you there's details to walk out there as far as
Yeah.
balance and
Yeah.
wisdom, but we won't go there. But the point
Mm-hmm.
I just made the point. So
Yeah. And the tools that we learned and those who followed the same steps, they've been finding their spouses and aligning, and they have beautiful marriages. And now they have tools for marriage too, not just to find the person and marry, but then for marriage. That is important to us as well, because we don't want to get people married and then say, oh my gosh, that's it. What else is there? But we want you to have beautiful marriages and discover that amazing creation that God gave us in marriage.
there you have it.
Yeah.
That's why we do what we do.
Yes. All right. Blessings.